Have you ever stayed up all night replaying conversations in your head, thinking what I could have said or done differently in that situation to handle it better? Or do you feel trapped in a loop of endless thoughts of what if this would happen, what if that would happen, how will I deal with this, I should do this? The thoughts just don't stop. And because of this, you're not able to find peace in your own head. This is called an overthinking loop spiral, and you are not alone dealing with this. Approximately 60 to 70% people who stay in metro cities are dealing with the exact same problem, and they're facing this endless loop of overthinking thoughts every single day. The problem is, these thoughts seriously affect your mental health, your relationships. It also drains your energy and makes you overall unhappy in life. And not just that, sometimes it is even holding you back from taking the right steps to a life that you really want. And that is something you should change immediately. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met someone who was really creative, brilliant, was very sorted, was very happy in her life. Let's just call her Neha. Neha had a lot of dreams in her life, but just like any ambitious people, she also encountered some failures in her life. And because of this, she created some self doubts. She started overthinking her decisions, and she could not take the right decisions in her life. She was always in a state of complete confusion. If this situation sounds relatable, familiar to you, then today with this video, I'm going to help you break this loop of overthinking spiral. Now, what if I tell you overthinking is a habit? Just like any other habit that you have, we can break this habit of overthinking as well. To do this, we are going to utilize a principle that how our brain learns and creates new habits. And that principle is called neuroplasticity. And this is a proven method to rewire your brain and making you do things differently in a better manner. So I will give you a three-step process to rewire your brain using the power of neuroplasticity and breaking this habit of overthinking spiral. But before we do this, we need to quickly understand why are we overthinking in the first place. So your brain is programmed to protect you from negative outcomes of life because these negative outcomes create negative emotions, make us feel sad, and that is the situation your brain is trying to protect you from. So the brain makes you imagine every possible outcome so that you can be prepared for all outcomes. But the problem is, it is imagining a lot of outcomes that will never happen in your life. And these negative outcomes also bring negative emotion, making you feel down, making your energy low. But the good news is you can easily break this cycle. So now let's look at three powerful steps to overcome overthinking. First step is identifying if this is an overthinking thought or not. For this, I will give you three questions which you need to ask yourself. Question number one, whatever I'm thinking right now, is this a fact or a thought? By asking yourself this question, you will easily identify that this particular outcome is not a fact. I am only imagining it. Let's take an example. Let's say your boss says something to you, and now you're going into a loop of overthinking, imagining what did he mean? Is he trying to hint that I'm not doing well? Is he saying my appraisal will be affected? Is this going to come on my job? Oh my God, am I going to lose my job? So, this entire spiral of going from one thought to the other is the one which we are trying to break here. So, first question you will ask yourself is, I will lose my job. Is this a thought or a fact? And it's obviously a thought, so you will calm down. My boss said this in a feedback. Is this a thought or a fact? And then you will realize, yes, this is also a thought. This is not really a fact. If he wanted to give you feedback, he will tell you he's giving you feedback. So this was question number one. It will help you bring down the intensity of the thought. Question number two, the situation that I'm imagining, what is the possibility of that coming true in life? A lot of people feel that this situation has a high possibility of happening. They think it's 80-90%. But the moment you ask yourself this question, what is the possibility of the situation coming? You will automatically realize that the possibility is never 80 to 90%. It might be 50-50%, or let's say 60-40%. And once you realize the possibility is not very high, I want you to then focus on the possibility of it not coming true. Because there's never a 100% chance that something will definitely happen. And question number three is, am I being fair or unfair to myself? When I'm thinking about all these situations, they're making me sad, I'm worrying too much, I'm getting anxious even. Am I being fair or unfair to myself? And if you get the answer that you are being unfair to yourself, then you need to stop being unfair. Give yourself a rest. Think of it, okay, what is the possibility of this happening? Is this thought a thought or a fact? And once you start asking these questions on a loop, you will realize that your overthinking is coming down and you are becoming more grounded and more present in the moment. This was only step number one. Step number two is, let's say if you're getting too many thoughts, then you need to get a journal, get a notepad, start writing it, and empty all your thoughts, empty your mind completely, write down all your thoughts, so that you have an idea of how many thoughts do you have to write down right now and how many thoughts you have to ask this question loop for. And once you write down all these thoughts in your head, you will realize that your mind has automatically calmed down a bit and you will start feeling lighter in the head. Step number 3 is you need to analyze, is the situation you're imagining, you're creating, you're overthinking about, is this in your control or out of your control? If it is out of your control, I want you to completely drop it, stop thinking about it, and don't assume only the negative outcome. But if it is in your control, then I want you to focus on the next action, next step you're going to take. Let's take an example here. Let's say you are driving on the road and all of a sudden somebody comes and bangs your car. Was the situation in your control or not in your control? If the situation is not in your control, then you can't do anything. You can only focus on the current situation. It has happened. There's an accident. I need to do something about it and focus on how you can handle this current situation, which is now created. But if you feel that the situation was in your control, maybe you were distracted, you were looking at your phone, you were changing the sound, etc., then the obvious course of action would be that you need to be more careful while driving, especially when you are driving in a crowded road. Then you need to not get distracted and you easily have an action item to focus on. Please remember that overthinking only works when you're going from one loop to the other and you're imagining things. The moment you stop imagining, you focus on one particular action item, your overthinking will calm down. The extra thoughts will also go down and your mind will start feeling a lot calmer and more relaxed. So now that you understand the 3-step process of calming down your mind, I want you to do these 2 things. Number 1, take any overthinking thought right now and do this analysis and write down in the comment section how it worked for you and what percentage of your overthinking reduced after doing these 3 steps. And number 2, if you have any doubts, you can also ask me these questions. Like this video if you found this useful, share with a friend you care about, and I will see you in the next one.